Yo, what is up guys? It's yours truly, Delboy here. Hope you guys are doing well. So, I'm sure we've all heard by now the rumours that Anthony Joshua was knocked out in sparring just about a week before he fought Andy Ruiz Jr. I wanted to share my 2 cents on this story. Now, I am a very cynical person. Do I believe this happened? I have my doubts, if I'm being honest. It sounds like a bit of damage control from somebody within Team Joshua. Now, I don't think that somebody would have been related to Matchroom, but somebody within Team Joshua. You know, maybe somebody put that rumour out there as an excuse. And if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I really wouldn't. Like I said, I'm a cynic. I do kind of have my doubts about this story. I'm not saying it's not true, but yeah, I just have my doubts. But let's say it is true. First and foremost, that's still no excuse for why Joshua got beat by Andy Ruiz Jr. There would have been guys in the past who have had terrible training camps with terrible sparring. You know, they've struggled and they've still gone into pro fights and won. You know, they've still got the job done when it matters. You know, not every camp is going to be perfect. Sometimes you are going to pick up injuries. Sometimes you're not going to feel 100%. And it's down to the fighter to be a professional and get it done on the night. I'm sure there would have been guys out there who have been knocked out very close to a fight in sparring and still went on to win the fight. I'm sure that's happened in the past. So even if it is true that Joshua was knocked out in sparring, close to the fight, does that really give him an excuse? No, not really. I mean, like I said, I'm sure fighters have gone through that in the past and still got the win. So ultimately, you know, Joshua, he still got in there with Andy Ruiz and he didn't perform. So it's no excuse. He was still the guy who had everything in his favour. It was a Matchroom show. I know it was in the USA, but it was a Matchroom show. He was the bigger guy, the taller guy, the longer guy, the more experienced guy in the pros. He had all of the advantages. So even if it is true, he can't use that as an excuse. Now, I know he hasn't himself said that, so I'm not saying Joshua is looking for excuses because he's not said that himself. It's just rumours, it's speculation, and it's hearsay right now. But the guy in question that apparently knocked out Joshua is a man by the name of Dawejko. Now, Dawejko is a smaller heavyweight. He's crafty, he's defensively sound, and, you know, he's a good journeyman in the heavyweight division. He's a high-level journeyman, and I can actually imagine him being a very good sparring partner, and I imagine he would replicate Andy Ruiz very well. You know, these guys are of a similar build. Both guys are fairly quick. Both guys have solid boxing fundamentals. I can see why they brought him in for sparring. And although you look at him and you think to yourself, no way this guy knocked out Joshua in sparring with big gloves and headgear. But listen, strange things happen in sparring all the time. So I wouldn't completely rule it out, you know. I mean, Joshua in the past has been knocked out by the likes of David Price, Daniel Dubois, Lawrence Okolie in sparring. So I mean, maybe it's true. I don't know. I wasn't there. I've got no idea. Now, Dawejko himself isn't confirming or denying this took place. I saw on Twitter that a journalist texted him and Dawejko kind of replied with apparently sad face emojis. So he's not really confirming or denying this took place. What I will say, if I was Dawejko, regardless whether this happened or not, I would try and use this to springboard my career to that next level, because right now he's seen as a bit of a journeyman. He's got an okay record, but his career's not really gone anywhere. I would use this to try and get some momentum and push my career to that next level. We'll see what comes out in regards to that. Maybe Dawejko will come out and admit it or deny it. Either way, we will see. But let's say these rumours are true for one moment. Now, there is a story going around that after the fight, obviously, Anthony Joshua's dad kind of had a go at Eddie Hearn. It looked like he was laying into Eddie Hearn. He was angry about something. And the rumours going around are that Joshua's dad wanted to pull him out of the fight because he was concussed just over a week before the fight. Let's say that's true. Again, I'm very cynical. I don't think it is, personally. I think somebody in Team Joshua leaked it as an excuse. But let's say it's true. That reflects extremely badly on Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport, because I believe if a guy gets knocked out in sparring close to a fight, they have to kind of declare it to the commission, the relevant commission, because of fighter safety. You know, in the UK, fighter safety is taken very seriously, especially after Michael Watson and Gerald McClellan suffering bad injuries over here, and Eddie Hearn will know that culture. And this fight took place in New York, and as we know, Magomed Abdusalamov picked up a severe injury against Mike Perez in New York, and the New York Commission, you know, came under a lot of scrutiny after that fight, and they changed a lot of rules, and I'm sure they would like to have known whether this happened before the fight or not. I'm sure they would have liked to have been advised, and if they knew this happened, I'm sure they would have had a word about this fight even taking place. And if Eddie Hearn and Matchroom knew about this, and still kind of pressured Joshua into taking the fight, then you really do have to question Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport. If it does come out that Joshua was knocked out in sparring 8 days before the fight, then could Eddie Hearn and Matchroom be reprimanded in any way? Providing they knew about it, of course. Who knows? But the story is very interesting. Again, I do kind of question whether it's true or not. It kind of seems a bit convenient that this story has came out after, you know, a big upset loss for Anthony Joshua. But what I will say is this: if a story has been crafted by Joshua's team, I certainly don't think it's somebody from Matchroom, because it could put them in serious bother. If this story has been fabricated, then I don't think it would have been somebody linked directly to Matchroom. And to me, that's the only thing that really gives this story any credence. The fact that, if it is true, it would reflect extremely badly on Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport. So I'm sure they wouldn't make up that type of story because it looks bad on them. It makes no sense for them to make up this story. So if it is made up, it's somebody on Joshua's team, but not related to Matchroom Boxing. You know, that's the one thing that gives this story a bit of credence and a bit of credibility. Not only that, you know, Joshua had a few bumps and bruises before the fight. You know, in fight week, you know, he had a bit of a shiner near his eye and a couple of scrapes. And he said that was due to physio, but, you know, it did look like he was lying. I'm sure he picked up those facial injuries in sparring. Whether he got knocked out or not, I mean, I have my doubts, I really do. It kind of seems like an excuse to me. But, you know, maybe in the future, things will reveal themselves and we will know the truth. I'll be honest, I'm very intrigued about this whole Anthony Joshua situation. Was it an off night? Was he exposed? Was he knocked out before this fight in sparring? Is Andy Ruiz that good? The whole situation intrigues me. It really does, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. I do get people's frustrations when, you know, people are saying Team Joshua are just making a load of excuses. I get that. But when you have an upset like this, people look for reasons. Rather than give a guy like Ruiz his credit, people will look for reasons why it happens. You know, and that's the nature of this sport. It happened when Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Douglas. You know, there were 1,000,001 excuses why Tyson lost that fight. It was never because, oh, Buster Douglas just had his number, he fought a great fight. No, the story was, why did Mike Tyson lose? The story was never, oh, how did Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson? What did he do right? What was his game plan? It was never that. It was, why did Mike Tyson lose? And it's the same here. And that's just the nature of this sport and sport in general. You know, it was the same when Lennox Lewis got knocked out by Hashim Rahman. It was never because Rahman won the fight fair and square. You know, people were looking for all of the excuses in the world. Oh, Lennox Lewis didn't train properly. Lennox Lewis was too busy filming Ocean's 11, whatever it was. You know, there was all of these excuses. But it was never, oh, Hashim Rahman beat Lennox Lewis. It was, how did Lennox Lewis lose to Hashim Rahman. That was the story, and that's always going to be the way when these type of upsets happen. That's why the rematch is going to be so intriguing. Maybe Joshua genuinely was in a bad way, he wasn't himself, and that's why he lost. I'm sure that's a possibility, but maybe Ruiz is just that good. Maybe he does have Joshua's number. It's intriguing, it really is. It really is intriguing, but one thing's for certain, I agree with those people saying Andy Ruiz Jr. isn't getting enough credit. He's not getting enough credit. He went in there, he done the job in dominant fashion. So fair play to Andy Ruiz Jr. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts below. Tell me what you think. Peace.